I've been working with this guy that's super wound up and anxious and negative and toxic, I mean,
Feeding your subconscious mind for you.
right. And it took me like about 2 weeks where I was like feeding right into that with him. And I was like, yeah, this does suck. This company's fucking shit, and like everything that he was saying and feeling, I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, that sucks. Well,
Yeah.
It took me about 2 weeks to stop and be like, wait a minute. I don't feel that. I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity, and just turned it around and like was aware that like his toxicity was feeding my subconscious and then making me like nervous and anxious and hate the job. And then once I was just aware of that, I just like flipped a switch and started ignoring it, and just was like, oh, okay, actually, this is good. Something's wrong with him, and that sucks. But I don't have to worry about him, And once I did that, I'm going to do I think my next video, because my last video was jumping into the abyss of like taking this job on. I'm going to do a longer video, kind of recounting all of that, so I won't go too far into it. But it did take that like kind of 2 week period until I was aware of what was going on, and I was like, actually, this company's pretty cool. This is a sweet gig, and he ended up quitting. Like,
did he?
Yeah, they offered him to stay on for another month, and like he ended up quitting because he's like, I hate this company and they suck, and he's like trying to like tell me I got offered to stay on full time, and he was trying to get me to think that was stupid and I shouldn't do it and stuff like that, and it's just like, it took about 2 weeks for me to bring it back and focus on like, no, I'm grateful for this opportunity, like, and I attribute that to meditation, like teaching me to be aware.
Yeah, I can relate so much with that, like at work and stuff. Like, you just spend, a good majority of your day around some toxic person and you'll be picking up their patterns within a week or two. Can't really do much about it. It's just whether or not you can either, be aware enough to see them arise and be like, oh, there's those patterns, or, you be succumb to them and they pull you in for a little while. I mean,
I've realized I've done that in a lot of different jobs. For a long time, I worked in like fast food and stuff like that. And if you want a dose of stupid, toxic, depressed people, like work a closing shift at a Wendy's. Like, that's
oh shit.
It's like it's pretty bad. Where like and I realize there's a lot of like old coworkers that I may not even remember their names anymore, but like I can remember those situations where I was like, man, I got really down on myself and my station in life because I was just feeding into that, and it stopped me from being able to focus on getting past that. And having that awareness is pretty key to not fall back into the same. It's just like everything else. Like, you're doomed to play the same story out until you learn the lesson, and you're not going to break that cycle unless you have the awareness. And I don't know what else. I mean, yes, psychedelics gave me that awareness, but it's that practice, that training of bringing back your focus that meditation does. And, I don't know. I definitely need to get back to that. The good thing is with my job situation and that guy going home is like, now I'll be working by myself. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, I was meditating this summer because I had the house to myself, where I'm not going to do that now, but now I'll have a truck to myself. And like, if I could just find a good place to park, and that's my lunch break, is to go sit and meditate, in a park under a tree, sitting in the truck. Like, they'll just think I'm taking a nap or something like that. No one will bother me. And, I think that's how I'm going to get back to that structure and routine, because like I said, I feel it was more important for me than my structured routine of exercising. Like just for your sense of reality and where you're going in life and focus and all that. So
Yeah. I find something that really has just been, I feel like the key for me is just the fact, like just taking that oath just to do it every day and never to miss, because when you start missing is when shit starts getting slippery, at least for me. Like, you'll start coming up with excuses, and that's just always when things start, it starts pulling you back, the voice in your head's like, no, you got to do this instead. And is if you can just keep it every day, and at least 20 minutes or at least 15 minutes even, and just keep it every day. And as long as you sit, like, you don't have to get mad at yourself for like sitting there and thinking the whole time. As long as you sit the duration, you did it. You got to think of it like that, because the mind's just so tricky. It just always tries to, come up with excuses not to do it, but then also will try to guilt you. It'll come up with these, oh, you didn't even meditate that long, man. What the hell? Like, you just can't let that shit bother you, because the more you allow that stuff in, the more pull it has on you. It's like what Alan Watts says. You can't clear muddy water by, I don't know, I'm butchering this, but you can't clear muddy water by like, trying to walk, like rub it away with your hand. It just like, it makes it more muddy. And you know what I mean? The best way to clear it is just to leave it alone. That's how, like, that's the key. Is just to not let it pull you in like that, not let it flare up.
Yeah. Hakuna Matata, right?